Do you hear that, kitties? You hear them coyotes? It's a glorious sound, kitties. It's a glorious sound. It truly is. You know, coyotes are the only mammals besides humans that actually are monogamous. You know that? Only mammals besides humans, I guess maybe dolphins. So, but they mate for life, you know. And if their husband or mate dies, and they've even been known to the mother dying and leaving the kid with the father. And fathers have been single fathers raising a pup by themselves. And they'll never get with another coyote again. They're monogamous to death. I think it's so romantic, you know? Plus, people always say you hear all them coyotes. Very rarely is it as many as it sounds like. Really, if it sounds like a whole pack or something, it's usually just one. That's not a lie. They can make several different sounds at the same time. And they can throw their voice, you know? They really can throw their voice. And so, it's a defense mechanism. Make it sound like you're a pack of hyenas almost, you know? Really, it's just a mother and her mate that she's had for 10 years. And maybe their kid. They've all survived, you know? I just think that's super cool. Humans could learn a little bit of something from a couple of coyotes, you know? Phone's about to die. Probably won't get a full video out of this. Anytime I hear the coyotes calling out, I always wish I could record it for Juicy. She says it sounds scary. I think it sends goosebumps up my spine and makes me so happy. Makes me giddy almost. And for some reason it reminds me of my Sarah Arlene Welch. Reminds me of my juice, my good juice, you know? Many a night out here. And when we started coming out here, I told her, I said, we're gonna see some crazy stuff out there, baby. We're gonna see stuff that tests your, you know, your spirit, gonna test your belief in things. And she was like, shut up, stop fucking with me, you're just trying to mess with me. And at first 9, boy, whew, we saw the Bigfoot Indian apparition. And for years she denied it. She said she didn't see it. Years later, we're telling the truth, and she said she saw it. She was just so scared she didn't want to admit to it. It was so crazy. Seeing that Indian out here. That's not the first or last time. This is crazy. And the UFOs we've seen out here, I remember one night we came out here, you know, and we were going to do our thing, you know, do shizzies, shots, and make love hardcore and whatever, you know. But I had, you know, we both done these huge shots, And I'd also taken several bars of Xanax at the same time. We didn't even get to the lovemaking sex part. I passed out. And I woke up 3 or 4 hours later. And she had my van door slit open. And she was filming and taking pictures of something in the sky. And I said, Juicy, what are you doing? And she's like, baby, I've been taking video of this moon. You're never gonna believe this shit. It's doing crazy shit, the moon tonight. I just can't even believe it. I said, really, you're taking video of the moon? She said, yeah. I'm like, right now? She said, yes, why? I'm like, well, Juicy, if that's the moon, then what is that right there on the other side of the sky? And she looked over, she's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, you haven't been looking at the moon. I don't know what you're looking at. The moon's right there. It freaked us out. I mean, I don't know what it was. We watched this thing for hours and it morphed. What it reminded us both of was like an angel or a soul in between dimensions. Like it had passed away or died in one dimension and was moving on to the next, but it was stuck somehow in between here and the next. And it didn't know how to morph into the whatever the energy or the being that it needed to morph into or be born into and then get into the next dimension. It was, it's so crazy, man. I hope she still has those videos. I hope Paul didn't erase them. They're just they're spectacular. It was insane. We watched and filmed it for hours. It definitely wasn't the moon until finally just poof, poof, and like popped out of existence right before our eyes. It was like we literally saw a wormhole open up for a split second, and we could see in the hole, we could see another world. Really, for like 5 seconds, you really could. It was bright light, another world. And then it sucked itself into that other world, and as quick as it opened, it shut and was gone. I'm on Z now. Seems like I've been walking this highway since I was a baby. I really wanted to lease or purchase the homestead that Miss Davis lived on. It's the first property you come to on your right after turning left onto Z Highway from 6. Somebody cut down the trees on that property too. They used to surround the house that was there. And I don't understand why. What is with all these people cutting down the fucking beautiful trees around the houses and stuff out here? I don't understand it. The wind gets so bitingly cold out here in the winter. I just don't understand why anybody would cut down the breakage. You know, I just don't. You need those fucking trees. Don't fucking freeze your ass off in the winter, you know? And I can just remember, you know, years ago, you go all the way to the back 40 of the property, and you get past the pond, and it used to be, there was a meadow back there, and it was surrounded by trees in a circle. And to get to it, you had to drive or take the tractor down into a short path that, you know, the circle of trees enclosed the meadow, and then it opened up into that meadow. It was like a secret place almost. And my father had said, now, you're going to go back there. Once you cut down the trees over here, cut down the trees right there for more field crop space, but do not, whatever you do, touch the trees that surround that meadow. He's like, my great-grandfather planted those trees. And guess what they did? They cut down those fucking trees in the meadow. And that's something you can't just say oops and go back and redo it, you know. The trees were planted, you know, 80 years ago. So when they had the trees cut down around the house, and all the trees cut down on the property, all the trees, every single one of them, all of them cut down on the property, I just didn't understand why. I didn't understand the barn burning. Because it would have cost too much to fix it, yeah. But if you didn't want it and got rid of it anyway, you could have made literally $500,000 just off the wood alone. Not paid $20,000 to have it burn. My dad didn't believe me. He thought I was lying. So obviously that conversation didn't happen between him and his wife. Don't know why. Don't know why they tore down the silo that my grandfather died in. I know it held a very special place in my father's head and heart, and mine as well. My grandfather drew his last breath, you know. And it wasn't a safety hazard. That silo was sturdy. I know the Amish people even said that it was sturdy. It would have stood for another 100 years, they said. I don't know if I'm gonna make it to my dad's. I gotta take a shit. I'm not gonna make it. Anyway. I don't know what the plan is that he talks of when him and my stepmother, my stepmother, his wife have. I don't know what that plan is. For years, my stepsister talked about how cool it was going to be when all of our kids and, you know, stepbrothers and sisters' kids got older too, and when our parents died, how everybody was going to get a piece of the land, even our kids and their kids, and so on and so forth. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean, you and your kid? I said, when your grandparents died in New York, you didn't hear us going to New York City saying, hey, we're going to get a piece of this property and stuff up here, right? No, why not? Because we weren't family. Well, I'm not greedy, and I hate people being greedy. The last thing I want is to be homeless most of my life until my father dies, and then take some measly handout, and anything that isn't the land my forefathers cultivated with their bare hands over 150 years ago. Anything other than that given to me, my brother, his kids, and my kids, anything other than that is measly, and I don't want it. I don't want money. I want to dig my fingers into that rich soil before I die. I want my son to be able to know what it feels like to dig his fingers into that soil before he dies. And hopefully, if we're not all too big of fuck-ups, hopefully my son's son will know what it's like to dig his fingers into that rich, cultivated earth, and, you know what it feels like, and know what it looks like to decide to do no-till rather than tilling and ruining the topsoil. What that means to land that's been cultivated for hundreds of years. I want my son, and my daughter to both know what grasses to plant to help stop erosion. In the back 40. The Indian grass and the native grasses that haven't been there for years, but that you can replant today and it'll stop erosion, along with the no-till. you've got to take these lessons and continue to pass them on down. And it's more important than just this land is my land and been in my family, blah blah blah. It's more important than that. It's about heritage, and it's about being able to educate them about our earth and educate them on what to do, what not to do, and why it's so important not to turn it all into subdivisions or golf courses. I know that in 150 years, I won't be remembered. The car that I saved up all summer, that one summer to get, that car will be dust. Even my kids will be gone. The only thing we can hope for is to become immortal through our children's children, and the lessons we teach and hand down, that's how we stay alive. That's how we live forever, and that's how we become immortal. And you just give it all away, then that's not the right thing to do. I'm all for giving some of it to the Deweese's kids. I really am. As long as they're also taking the lessons that my great-grandfather and my grandfather and grandmother passed down to me. As long as they're taking those lessons and they're not taking them for granted. They're listening when they're being taught the lessons, and so they can too dig their hands into the rich earth and know how that feels. It's so important. I have this feeling winter's not over. Everybody keeps telling me winter's over, but I can't remember it snowing on my birthday. My birthday's April 25th. I remember that year. That was the year Jade was pregnant with Rhythm. I woke up on my birthday and it was fucking snowing outside. I couldn't believe it. I was pissed off. Well, anyway, I'll film this perfectly. Hopefully, I've got 2 minutes left to make 20 even. Hopefully, it'll go 2 more minutes without dying. I got a brother riding his Harley out here right now to come hopefully swing by and pick me up. Known him for years, so he's not a homophobe about me riding on the back of his bike. I hope not. Yeah, I know he's not. I'm looking forward to it. This is a man that I always thought if I started a club, he would be one of the first people I would ask to become a member, you know. Danny said the same thing about him too when we talked about it. And Danny Schroff stole my idea. I was so mad. Me and Shay were both so mad, but it was, he did it. He took it up the chain of command and got permission to get that MC name. The Bushwhackers, Missouri Bushwhackers. Cause that's what we are. That's what we were. That's what we will always be. Border Raiders, Bushwhackers, fighting off the Redlegs, holding back the line and creating